Hey guys, Broke Investor here, back to make another video. 2 days in a row. Why the hell not? So like I said, back to the basics. Yesterday's video was about dividend basics. Today's video is how to find the right dividend stock for you. So once you understand the basics, how to begin, you get your brokerage. Where do you go from there? How do you find the right dividend stock? Sorry for not doing my hair. So anyway, let's get started. So the first section, as you can see, you really don't need anything. You just need yourself. Because you need to, just sit back a second and think about things. And number one, start with companies you know, okay? What are some big companies you know that have been around, companies maybe you trust, companies, you like? Start with those. Look them up on your brokerage account. Look them up on the internet. Do they pay a dividend? If so, how are they doing? Go from there. That's what I did. Companies, obviously the immediate company everyone thinks about is maybe Apple or Microsoft, the tech companies. And yes, they do pay a dividend. Or, just think about in general, what companies do you love? What companies have you loved over the years? Do you love Nike? Does Nike pay a dividend? Do you love Under Armour? Does Under Armour pay a dividend? Things like that. So that's one way to start. Another is, keeping to the same concept, is just look around your house. Look around. Like, what do you probably don't even know, like, half of the water bottles or half of the, the tape, whatever, shit like that. You probably don't know who makes it. So, if you look at a bottle of Dasani, for example, it should say that Coca-Cola owns it. Or if you look at Scotch tape, for example, you look at the tag, 3M owns it, things like that. So just look around the house, things that you buy all the time, which are things that probably most people buy all the time. Just take a look at those brands. If you're stuck on number one companies, you can just look around your house, look around your everyday, and you'll see that there's a lot of companies that are larger than you thought, and they make more things than you thought. Number three is you supposedly, assuming you do have the brokerage, just search around. A lot of brokerages nowadays are very tech savvy, so whether you use the app or the website, it'll tell you like different things. It'll list the companies most people are watching right now, or the most active companies, or the largest companies, or this, that, and the other thing. It'll just give you an idea, and then you could just search around from there just to get a clue of what's going on. Again, there's no rush to this at all. So if you have a brokerage, utilize that brokerage, because a lot of brokerages come with advantages. They have a lot of research that they do. They pay people to do all this research, and write these articles and things like that. So utilize that. You have the brokerage, you already decided the brokerage, and, utilize that. Number four is to think about companies that are essentially untouchable. Like, it would be really hard for a startup company to come in and disrupt them, Again, back to the big tech firms. I mean, look at Amazon right now. No, they don't pay a dividend, but who's going to come in and affect them? I mean, if they do, it's going to take a while. Same thing with Microsoft. They've been around forever. Who's going to, disrupt them? Things like that. So, just to give you an idea, like, let's think about the cell phones and the internet companies. Comcast, Verizon, AT&T. These companies are humongous. Can anyone compete with them? And if you think not, then, maybe you should consider investing in them. Because if no one can compete with them, they'll be around forever. And if they pay a dividend and they can afford their dividend, then they'll pay their dividend forever. Don't you want to make it simple? Just invest, hold, get paid, that's it. Right? That's what it's all about. Assuming, nothing changes over the years, it should be just as simple as that. All right, so that's what you could do yourself without even, blinking an eye. Now, I decided to just list some sources that I like when it comes to dividend investing. And one Number one, dripinvesting.org. What is that? That's a website who maintains this spreadsheet. I don't know what else they have on their website, but all I know is they have this spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet of all of the dividend champions, contenders, all of the stocks that basically pay a dividend. And when you open that spreadsheet, there's a tab called All CCC. And if you look at that spreadsheet, it has like almost all of the information you would want. So you could just take that spreadsheet and essentially filter out what you want. Oh, I want this dividend yield. I want this payout ratio. I want this stock price. Or I want this pay date. Or I want this earnings growth. Things like that. So, and it's updated very frequently. And it's free. That's the most important part. Free. Nothing here is paid. Nothing. You should not have to pay for, services that tell you what to do. Everything is on the internet. All of these public companies have investor relations pages, and all of their financial information is available to you. So all you have to do is take the time and look, and you don't have to pay someone to do the work for you. It's your money. You might want to do the work yourself and make you feel a little better. You're the most motivated to make money on your money, not someone else. That's for damn sure. Another app, it's a website obviously too, Seeking Alpha. They have a paid part, don't mess with that, but the free part is articles. People write articles and give their opinions, and then there's comments below. So I think, and again, you take it with a grain of salt, but it's just good to see, some articles and what people think. They also send alerts for when the companies announce dividend payments, raise their dividend, things like that, acquisitions. So I love it for the alerts. So I go in there once a day, twice a day. And the stocks that I do watch, or follow, they call it, they'll list the news in order. So you can just go through them, skim through. Is there anything that jumps out? No? All right, I'll go on to the next day. So, it's free. And it's an app too. I do everything on my phone. So if it's not an app, I probably don't use it. Yahoo Finance, also an app, or website. I sign up. Well, I use them, I follow my stocks, and they'll send me text alerts when things happen. I don't really use it on the day-to-day, some figures maybe, but overall, it's just okay for alerts. It'll tell you, oh, this stock went above 5%, this stock went below 5%, or something like that. It's just another source to have, but I don't use it as frequent. Google is your friend sometimes, but just Google the best dividend stocks, and then articles will come up, or my YouTube will come up. No, I wish, but just Google anything, and then it'll take you. Yeah, it's all out there. People writing articles, blogs, things like that, or just Google the company, and you type in, say, AT&T Investor Relations page. It'll go right to it, and you can see everything, the history, everything you want to see. So if you know the company, you Google the company. If you don't know the company, Google companies. What is the great dividend stock? And then you can see what people say, and then you don't have to listen to them, obviously. You pick and choose from there. That's the best way to do it. Or, Facebook, obviously. I've run a couple groups on there. They're very good, listening to different opinions out there. Last but not least, YouTube, podcasts, things like that. So when you're just starting off, I highly recommend YouTube and podcasts. Podcasts, not so much, because there's less. It's really hard to find what you're looking for, like an exact topic. When I used to commute to work pre-COVID, I would just be in my car when I first started off investing, and I type in, what is a stock? What is a dividend? What is market cap? And you have like 10 million choices to choose from. So I would just listen to that on the way. I can't really do that on the podcast. A podcast is more so for, once you find a good one, you just keep it simple, click it, and listen to it on the daily, But YouTube could be more specific because, there's a lot of people using it. People all over the world using it. And, there's a lot of good people on there, like PPC Ian. His whole channel is about dividend investing, and he's huge now. He started off small, he's huge. And he's a very bright man. He's actually around my age, too. Very successful. And he has a lot of great videos out there. As far as podcasts, Honestly, since I stopped commuting, I don't really listen to podcasts except Dave Ramsey for investing. I used to like Motley Fool Answers, I believe it was. It's the red icon. Only because like the personality is just little more entertaining than the dry humor that you get on some of them. But you know, you pick and choose what you want as far as that goes. But it's just easy. Some people hate reading, so that's why, you know, especially if you commute to work, don't listen to the radio, don't listen to the news, especially now. Listen to this. If you're learning investing, listen to a YouTube or a podcast. All right, now let's talk about, okay, how to find the right dividend stock, right? Now, you have to always keep in mind when you start investing, you do not want to go heavy. You know, regardless if you start with little to no money or a crap load of money, you want to keep in mind diversification, because you don't want to invest in all in one sector. Say you invest in 5 stocks, they're all in the same sector. Something happens, one thing happens, and it disrupts the whole sector. Now you're down by this much. You may not be able to swallow that pill, especially in the beginning. Even though you're buying and holding for the long term, you may not be able to handle that. So even in the beginning, that's why I would recommend just understanding the different sectors, because you may want to diversify right from the start. Obviously, you need to even, you know, you're doing the basics, you're doing things like that, so you don't really care about sectors, but you should. Every time you look at a stock, you should look at what sector it's in. And then once you start buying stocks, you should not only log it on the spreadsheet, but you should log the sectors and the industry within the sector. So not only should you diversify by sectors that I listed here, but you should diversify with the industries within that sector. But I'm not going to get into the industries. Let's just talk about the sectors. So, number 1, consumer, discretionary, or cyclical. So basically, you know, companies like McDonald's that are into this, or like, you know, Starbucks, whatever. So if you think about, you know, restaurants in general, those most likely would be under there. Now, to me, McDonald's is one of my favorite stocks. So by the way, all these stocks, I have to mention, I do own. So I'm maybe biased on these stocks, but they're just examples anyway. But yeah, McDonald's would be an example of consumer discretionary / cyclical. But in McDonald's, they're basically a real estate company that sells burgers. They own all of their real estate. So, you know, even if they went bankrupt today, they should have enough real estate to pay all their shareholders, hopefully. Number 2, consumer staples / defensive. Companies like Coca-Cola, you know, the brands in the store. Pepsi, whatever, Kellogg's, crap like that. You know, again, they call it a staple, but whatever. That's, you know, just think it as a separate sector. Coca-Cola, you know, it's one of the biggest selling, you know, whatever they call it, freaking soda, soft drinks in the world. So where are they going? Where's Coca-Cola going? To me, nowhere. Not in my lifetime. After my lifetime, not my problem. Number 3, energy. Yeah, this is a problem sector as of late. We don't need to get into that, but one example is XOM. So, and a lot of the energy sector stocks right now are down. Had you owned them a year ago, you're down massively. Companies like XOM, they're still paying a dividend. They're still holding on. They have not increased their dividend, but they're paying the same dividend. Starting yield now is like 8% or so, or even more, because the stock price went down and the dividend remained the same. So their starting yield is high. Can they afford that dividend? No, they cannot. Something's got to give here. COVID nearly destroyed this sector. People aren't even, you know, driving anywhere anymore. Plus, you have Biden winning the damn presidency, even though he cheated. But and you know, he wants the clean energy thing. But in my opinion, the energy sector is fine. When I talk about this, I talk about my lifetime. Oil's not going anywhere in my lifetime. Maybe down the road, everyone be driving their little Teslas, their little plug-in cars, but good luck with that anytime soon. Number 4, financials. Pretty simple. Visa. Visa's a credit card. Visa's a credit card that nearly everyone has a freaking Visa, a credit card in their pocket or at least at home. The Dave Ramsey people may not. They may have cut them up. Good for them. But for the most part, Visa's involved with freaking everyone in the world. And in my opinion, Visa will be around for my lifetime. So again, to me, great dividend stock. Number 5, healthcare. Again, these are some of these. We don't know the future of healthcare. Will it? How will they do? With because we have such drastic changes in political views, but you can't really worry about that too much. It is what it is. Maybe the stock market will go down when Biden wins. Who cares? Just keep buying. Consider that a sale. It'll eventually go back up and it'll recover. So companies like J&J, Johnson & Johnson, you really think they're going to be affected by a Biden presidency or anyone else? Will they be affected? Maybe a little, but these companies are so big that you just feel comfortable. You sleep great at night. But again, healthcare. Industrials, companies like 3M or waste management, things like that. 3M, by the way, just look around your house. You'll be surprised how much crap 3M makes. My car, I had tint for years. On the tint, 3M. Never knew they made tint. They make Scotch tape. They make this adhesives, this and that. Everything has 3M. Something in your house has 3M. I guarantee it. Look around. Number 7, materials or basic materials. RPM is one that I invest in. You may not know what it is, but they, again, they sell the little chemical crap they use at Home Depot. I can't think of an example offhand, but you'll, again, when you look at the tags, you'll know. Number 8, technology. But by the way, on materials, not many people talk about materials, so it's good to still diversify. You want to hit every sector. You can be low in materials than others because it's boring, but keep in mind, it's its own sector. You want to diversify across sectors. Companies that pretty much own the sector, run the sector, or companies that are good deals to you, companies that are upcoming. Anyway, number 8, technology. I mean, who do you pick? Apple, Microsoft, who do you choose? So, to me, and yes, Apple does pay a dividend, a very weak dividend at that, but they do pay a dividend. So I do invest in Apple. Will they raise their dividend year over year? Probably. They've been a little cheapo on that, but again, it's a company that, you need companies that you can buy. I mean, as far as growth goes, Apple's tremendous growth. So as a growth investor, Apple's great. As a dividend investor, not that great. However, I want a mix of different things, because again, a company like Apple, capital has gone up, their stock split. I'm up on them all of my stocks. Meanwhile, they're paying a shitty dividend, but over time, that'll go up. But I make up for that low yield because in the next sector, telecommunications, companies like AT&T, Verizon, they have high starting yields. So I buy a stock of AT&T, I may have a starting yield of 6%. I buy a stock of Apple, I may have a starting yield of 2%. So I'm at the middle, 4%, not too bad. And I'm diversified, right? So it balances out overall. You have to, again, certain sectors offer different things. So just keep an eye on them. Number 10, apparently people say the most boring sector out there, utilities. But whatever, they get their money, they move on. They get their money, they move on. It's like a solid cash flow. And they typically pay most of their money out to dividends to their shareholders. So what do I invest in for utilities? Companies like Southern Company, SO, and now NJR as of late. I live in the state of New Jersey, and my utility company is NJR. So, I pay them every month. I might as well invest in them. So make them pay me a dividend. I'll feel a little better about paying that bill each month. And I live in the state, so I can kind of follow the company a little better. I'll have a different aspect on it. So check out who's your utility company where you live. You want to get paid from them because you're paying them every month, right? You might feel a little better. Number 11, last but not least, real estate. Now, company like O, everyone loves O. It's a love-hate thing, but most people love it. A lot of people say, oh, it's overvalued, whatever. But they pay a dividend, year over year. They increase their dividend very frequently. They've beat COVID they're collecting their rent consistently, at a high rate as compared to other REITs. So they have done rather well over the years. I mean, their name is basically the monthly dividend company. Like, that's their nickname. So with a name like that, that's a company I want to be a part of. So yeah, if you want to get involved with real estate and you can't afford to buy a house to rent out, REITs are the way to go. By the way, they're called REITs too, real estate sector, stocks. So you want to invest in a company like, who invests in kind of industrials like LA Fitness and things like that, or Walgreens. So these are companies that are massive. They're going to pay their rent because obviously they want to stay, they want to keep their doors open. So, real estate, great sector, love it. People love it a lot because a lot of them pay monthly dividends. So, which, by the way, don't get too attached. Don't worry about that monthly versus quarterly. And I get it. Believe me, in the beginning, getting a monthly dividend, that's freaking awesome. But in the end, I mean, what matters is, that you're buying the best investment. You're buying the best stock for you. When the dividend pays, it doesn't matter. In the end, at the end of the year, it's still the same amount, whether you get a monthly, whether you get a quarterly. And yes, there are advantages and disadvantages to monthly versus quarterly. I will make a video on that. But I would say just don't focus on monthly. You're going to get too tied up in stocks that you might not want, that are high risk. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, how to find the right dividend stocks. At least, this is my opinion. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a broke-ass investor with a whiteboard that hopefully, a lot of people like these videos. I'm going to make more of them, maybe 1, 2 a week. But I don't know. We'll go from there. Please click like if you enjoyed this. Please leave a comment or share. Tell your friends. I don't know. All right, I'm out of here. Later.